Hey ladies, Chapter 2, The Wife's Goal by Julie N. Gordon. So by now, I believe that you have already got your book and you've read through the introduction, you've read through Chapter 1, you started writing in your journal. Julie in the Genie in the book calls the journal a turquoise journal. Mine is a happy planner journal. It's so cute. It says girls can, and I'm like, yes, I need to. Girls can. Okay. Anyway, you have your first list, strengths, gifts, and qualities that I admire in my husband, and you've already started writing some things down. Maybe you've already written 50 of them because you're awesome. Okay, Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Acceptance. A. One of the first, or the first of the 8 A's, acceptance. Accept my husband the way he is. So I'm just going to read to you from the notes that I took. In addition to using this journal as the list journal, I also highlight when I'm reading my Kindle version of the book, and then I go back later and write out some of the things that I highlighted, and that's for myself and also to share with you. So I'm just going to read some of those notes to you, some things that stuck out to me, and I would love it if you would share some of the things that stuck out to you down below in the notes in the comment section, or even if you want to post a video or something in our group and share that, I would love that. Okay, accept my husband the way he is. Start by appreciating and focusing on his positive qualities. We can do that. One thing is, a lot of times, do we expect our husbands to overlook our failures and shortcomings and our faults? But then are we also able to overlook his? So the goal that I see developing here in this book is changing the way we think about the things in our life, especially about our marriage and our husband. So choosing to set my mind on my husband's strengths will eventually help me to view him primarily from a positive perspective instead of negative perspectives that kind of exasperate his weaknesses. Sometimes maybe as women, we overlook the heroic, brave, protective characteristics of our husbands, and we're searching for emotional intimacy, and they're not really giving that yet. And so the thing that I love about Julie is she just point blank says, you're going to be the first one to start. She's just really strong about that. She says, someone has to start a new cycle in the relationship. Someone has to be mature. Someone has to give up their expectations, especially the unmet ones and the ones that are just obnoxiously too large for humans to be able to do that. And someone has to go first, and that someone is going to be me. Woo. Yes, ma'am. That someone is going to be me. No whining, no criticizing, and I am to fill his tank with the 8 A's. In the past, I have done the opposite of that. I'll be honest about that, even probably yesterday. So with lots of help and grace, though, that stops today, and I made myself a little note in my journal with the date. So Julie says in here to stop fighting the time the sun comes up. I mean, in other words, stop fighting what has to be. My husband may have came with a package of weaknesses, but it's my job to accept and overlook them. No husband has it all. Find the good and shine the flashlight of your mind on the good by reading and rereading my list. The list that I have right here with my husband's strengths, gifts, and qualities. And you'll see in Chapter 2, she tells the first 5 list that we should be already working on. So over time, my mind will change. The way that I view my husband will become more and more positive, and I won't be focusing on the faults and the weaknesses as much. Julie shares that a wife's anger propels a husband to withdraw, and then we have a negative cycle. So be an overlooker, not a tabulator. Accept him as he is. She declares that the 8 A's wildly induce affection in a husband toward his wife. But a wife's motive should be to give and love while expecting nothing in return, because that is the nature of genuine love. Don't we see that in Jesus? He has given so much to us on a maybe. And so can't we extend that type of love to our husbands? One thing I like to think of is our husbands don't have, they're not ill-willed. They have goodwill towards us. And so we are just going to kind of provoke that goodwill even more. So she says that husbands want to relax in the marriage and be who they are, and they want to enjoy their wives' companionships as they are. Can't you see that? I mean, your husbands have to perform outside all the time. And can't they have a place at home where they can feel at rest and at peace and at ease, and that they don't have to impress all the time? And can't we be encouraging and loving at home to them? I believe we can. I'm expecting some really great things from this study and from taking the time to renew my mind in this direction. Like I said in my last video, I have being a better wife as one of my top 4 current life goals right now, and so I'm going to put in the work to do this. I'm going to see this through, and I'm so thankful that you're coming along with me, because it helps me to stay accountable in case I get lazy. And she does share how some of our biggest enemies will be self-pity, and I threw in impatience. Because I see a lot of times that we're kind of selfish and thinking, well, I'm doing this and I'm not seeing any results, or I'm being nice first to him, or I'm being accepting first to him, I'm being admiring first to him, and I'm not noticing any change. Kind of like when I'm on a diet for 2 days and I don't see any change in the scale, and I'm like, I'll forget it, it's not working. Well, come on, let's give it a little more time than that. And she shares a really unique story in the chapter 2 about it. I'd love for you to post about that and share your comments about her story. It's so cool. But I don't want to give everything away, because I really want you to get the book yourself and to do the work yourself, and not just listen to the videos, but actually do it. One more thing I'd like to share from my notes is, if I will pay attention to the good, then I will be pleasantly surprised at how much good my husband does bring to our marriage. So, okay, I said that was it, but I have one more thing. She says, my Creator meets my approval needs, and our marriage can be turned around through me, through the wife. And I immediately thought of a scripture in 1 Peter, I believe, talking about how a wife can help. Actually, I'm going to look up the verse. I'll be right back. The verse in 1 Peter 3:1 says, you wives must accept the authority of your husbands, then even if some refuse to obey the good news, your godly life will speak to them without any words. They will be won over by observing your pure and reverent lives. So that was just a good reminder of how a marriage that may be kind of not ideal can be turned around through the wife's persistence, prayer, goodwill. So let's start first. And I'm so excited to see the results of this. I'm believing great and wonderful things for you. And I would also like to remind you that Jesus paid a high price for you, and you are worth far above rubies.